Before we get started, let me just mention the first games from Final Fantasy X all the way to Final Fantasy 15. So, let's get started. Put those gloves on, and remember, this is just my opinion, and my opinion alone, and I'm sure other fans feel this way. So, to me, it all started with Final Fantasy X, when they brought in voice acting, when they brought in the ability to switch characters on the battlefield, which sounds good on paper. Actually, I do like Final Fantasy X. It's one of my favorite games of all time. You can say what you want about the Charlie's Angel version of Final Fantasy with Final Fantasy X too, but that's a different story. I still love these characters. And then we got the glaring Final Fantasy XI Online. Now, I'm not sure why they wanted to call it Final Fantasy XI. It always bugged me. Why couldn't they just call it Final Fantasy Online? Why did they have to slap in 11? Like, it wouldn't have affected their sales. But then we got the last great Final Fantasy game, from my opinion, is Final Fantasy XII. Final Fantasy XII is one of my favorite games in the series also. I like Ash. I like Vaughn. I like the setting that they're in. I just love this world. Granted, I feel Final Fantasy XII could have been a lot better, but still, it was, to me, the last decent Final Fantasy. And then we got the dreaded, and probably the most fan-hated, Final Fantasy XIII. Final Fantasy XIII has a whole list of problems that I can get into in another video. So we're going to skip that for now, but this is the start of the downfall of Final Fantasy. And then we got Final Fantasy XIV. And I tried to play this, but I also didn't understand why they had the audacity to put Final Fantasy XIV in the title. Then we got Final Fantasy 15, which is going to start my little rant. To me, the reason why Final Fantasy, to me, is no longer Final Fantasy. So, I'm all cool with action turn-based battles. Kingdom Hearts did it very well, and it was proven they could do it. But for some reason, in the Final Fantasy games, they just couldn't get it right. So, let me make it bluntly clear. So, the makers of Final Fantasy believe that no one likes turn-based battles anymore. But that's a complete lie, because I still like Final Fantasy VIII. I still like Final Fantasy VII, 9, and all the other Final Fantasies. So why couldn't they just make it a turn-based? It didn't have to be a straight-up turn-based. It could have been the exact same thing as Kingdom Hearts, but they didn't do that with 13. They didn't do that with Final Fantasy 15. Granted, I still like in Final Fantasy X, you can switch your characters in battle, but that's the problem I'm getting into. They think we just don't like turn-based games when there's plenty of turn-based games out there. And to me, this is the glaring problem for the Final Fantasy VII remake that's coming up. So, I'm all for a remake of Final Fantasy VII, but for years, fans just wanted a Final Fantasy VII remake with better graphics but the same gameplay. Granted, you could have still added the ability to switch characters during battle, like in Final Fantasy X, which I'm not all against the remake of Final Fantasy VII that we're getting now. I'm just saying that all the problems we have proven that they didn't work in the previous games. To me, the biggest downfall of the Final Fantasy series for me is the creators of the Final Fantasy series failing to understand what makes the audience happy. And they're doing all these daring things to make us not even want to play these games anymore. What I'm saying is that maybe we should go back to turn-based battles. I'm all for action games, but it's just proven that Final Fantasy 13, Final Fantasy 11, Final Fantasy 14, and 15, it's just what they're trying to do just didn't work for the series, and I'm afraid the same thing is going to happen for Final Fantasy 7. So we'll see how it goes. So I know there are fans of the recent Final Fantasy games, and I respect your opinion, but to me, the Final Fantasy series is dying, and it's noticeable. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below. I gotta go. This is Matthew Scooby. Peace out.